Open loops. Open loops. Open loops. Open loops. Open loops. You must listen to the open loops, a theme park for absurd beliefs and systems of integration between the mind and the creative spirit. Open loops.
I consider it an affront to my family that you haven't heard about Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Okay, let me just lay this out for you. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And get this, okay? Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money, moolah, from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Mind-bending as entertainment. That's what intellectual escapism is. If that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place. That's right. It's between your ears, that special spot in your mind where, between knowing and not knowing, all possibilities lives. It's a theme park for the intellect, the imagination, the loopers going round and round, searching answers, finding questions. That's right. It's Open Loops, conversations that bend, a late night talk show for the shamelessly fringe. With me, Greg Bornstein. Hey there. Today we have Lynn Louise Larson, who is a hypnotist like no other. She is the Cosmic Valkyrie. What did that mean to me? I had no idea. Did I have to find out? You'll hear it in this interview. It gets interesting. It gets special. I love Lynn Louise because she is such a warm, funky kind of presence, I think. She's warm and funky, like kind of playful, kind of like a bad girl of hypnosis. Had a lot of personal trauma that she got through and is now teaching others how to do it. And I really appreciated her perspective on different things in hypnosis, as well as how she takes it from simple regressive therapy to a really cosmic, and it's not just in the name, like a really kind of transformative, beyond earthly place that empowers you to be kind of a quasi-dimensionally stable person. Yeah, it gets interesting. Not to mention the fact that there is a sorcerer who is co-producing this episode. Like, in the background, whatever made this episode possible is the doings of a non-human, potentially magical force that is described as a sorcerer shaman type. It gets weird. It gets very weird as we keep going. I'm so glad it started at hypnosis and got to just straight up like Mickey Fantasia, but real. It's interesting. Now, before we get going, if you like open loops, please do love yourselves first. Because you know what? If you like open loops, that must mean you're full of love. And if you like it, that means you have love. So you got to love yourself. That's step one. Step two, please do subscribe, rate, and leave a review on Apple Podcast, just so we can keep getting this out there and keep going. And now, without further ado, here she is, the Cosmic Valkyrie, Lynn Louise Larson. Today we have Lynn Louise from the Cosmic Valkyrie.com on Open Loops. My favorite topic, hypnosis. She is here. She is a practitioner. She leads women through the transformation cosmic warrior experience. If that doesn't pique your interest, I know it definitely piqued mine. Lynn, thanks so much for coming on.
I'm so excited to be here. Let me just do a little housekeeping because it's probably, I have to wire in outside of my office. So you might hear some dogs in the background, but I'm sure most of your listeners love dogs. So
yes, absolutely. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Yeah, I'm so excited that you're here. And you know what? Look, I know that, like you are primarily focused on sexual assault, sexual trauma, rape victims, like working with people who've been really through, some of the most horrific and wiring. Like if there's anything that's going to neurologically like wire you, it's going through in a different way that's like can keep people stuck. It's that. So here's what I'm kind of curious about. But and again, I love hypnosis. I love the craft and the techniques of it. So I definitely want to go this route. But how did you? It was like, did hypnosis factor into you before you had your experiences that like made you seek healing? Or was that your religious, like, oh, this is what's going to help me kind of moment? Like, what is your relationship with hypnosis as it relates to your story and becoming a cosmic warrior?
Right. So here's the thing. Sexual assault.
Yeah.
It's dear to me because obviously if anyone's looked at my website, you can tell that that's part of my story. And most of the time, so that in the US, it's 1 out of 5 women are sexually assaulted, but that's the women that report it. There are women like me that were sexually assaulted by a good friend, a boyfriend, a husband, that never report it because it's a confusing situation to begin with, on top of the fact that it was somebody that you love and trusted. So we not only leave it unreported, but we tend to try and process it on our own. So what that leads to is this imprint in our subconscious and these beliefs and behaviors around that situation that linger and worsen for decades. So that's where I was at. And this is not just women, men too. I don't want to discredit, but the people that normally come to me are women, but I help anyone. So how that materializes, like if you're wondering like, oh, is my sexual assault still affecting my life today? Take a look at your life, like look at your bank account. Are you living paycheck to paycheck? Look at your relationships. Are you going from one relationship to another? I was going from one job to another within my career thinking, if I can just find that, then it will be the answer to my happiness. If I can just find that city, always looking outside of me for my happiness.
Right.
And it got to the point where, and we can go more into the hypnosis and the way the brain works, because I love brain science, but it creates these distracting behaviors from feeling the feels that just compound upon each other to a point where eventually you're going to hit rock bottom. And that's where I was before I even started like this journey. Like I was extremely overweight. I was distracting with drinking at night. I was emotional eating. I was shopping online. I was like just this compounded hot mess. And as I healed, that's when one of my mentors introduced me to hypnosis. And I saw such rapid growth within my healing. It took what I was already implementing and like 10x'd it.
So you were already in the healing like that. That's kind
Yes.
of yeah, because some people really have nothing and then they come to hypnosis and it like does something. But that is kind of I mean, that's great that you found some sort of modality that allowed you to at least feel like you were beginning to make changes.
Yeah, and the thing is, this is my belief behind hypnosis, and I bet it's yours too. But hypnosis is great, but it is not one of those magic pills that you do and then, oh, well, good, I'm going to be healed forever. It is
Right.
very interactive, right? Like you
Yes.
have to do your part. And a lot of people don't realize that. So when I do one-on-one hypnosis packages and deep healing, but I'm always encouraging people to join my monthly membership because you need that guidance to help you along the way.
Yeah, well, I imagine you can't just. I mean, I've definitely been taught by people that thought you could like resolve stuff in 2 sessions or 3 sessions. And then as soon as I like started being like, this guy teaches it this way, silver bullet approach, like everybody was like, dude, you need to add some regression to that. Cause like there is some stuff that you just can't like. It would be great if direct suggestion worked for like I once asked someone, why can't you just be like, and now whenever I snap my fingers, you're no longer a depressed person, like and then they're like, oh, that's never gonna work. It's a great suggestion, but it's just not. Why do you, in your experience with brain science, like why can't a direct suggestion like that work, you think?
Oh, such a great question. So it's been proven that by the age of 8, we already have our belief system about ourselves and the world around us solid in our
Yeah.
subconscious. And then we just go through, life validating those beliefs. So this is very far back. And while like sexual assault is not our fault, there is a certain, here we're going woo too. I hate the word woo. I like cosmic, but
It's fine.
so everything's energy, right? So we have a particular brain pattern and a brain wave frequency that I totally believe predators can tap into and see, right? It's not just our behavior, it's our belief system. It's how our subconscious is how we relate to the world a lot of the times, and our habits. So even though we didn't create that sexual assault, it definitely was a magnet to us because of our belief systems and our habits that we had around it and our behaviors. So there's a really, really strong foundation that has been built around our belief system for a very long time. And 97% of the population is walking around in the lowest level of thought, which is thinking. So they're just running on thinking all day on autopilot, which is letting your subconscious rule your world. Like it's just allowing shit to happen. So bringing the first step that I think is really important for people to understand is that you need to become aware of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Because they're creating your air quote reality, right? This
Totally.
3-dimensional reality that you have. And they've been there for a long time, talking to you for a very long time. When you become aware of those thoughts, you realize what they've been telling you and what you've been telling yourself and that critical thinker. And it's just gotten worse over the years, right? It doesn't get better when you're just running on autopilot. It gets worse. It talks smack to you all the time, talking you down.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
like bringing your awareness to that. That's the first thing. Like you need to understand that your thoughts are an illusion. Like what's real is your ability to think. Therefore, you can choose the thoughts that you get to think. And then that's really when you can start realizing how hypnosis can help you begin to 10x that experience and kind of reprogram some of those inner critic voices and whatnot. I do think direct suggestion helps with that. I think I've done like inner critic guided hypnosis sessions in my membership where I take them through reprogramming those nasty, snarky voices saying, oh, you're stupid, or you're not smart, you know, you're not pretty enough, all of those voices, and reprogramming them to powerful voices. That I think direct suggestion is great for.
Yeah.
But resolving issues that were laid solid in your, you know, primary years, you got to go back.
How much does sexual trauma, so is stuff happening in the primary, or you're just saying the predators, even if you're like, even if trauma happens, you know, teens, 20s, 30s, whatever, is still tapping into those primary year programming, and it's like directly, I mean, yeah, I could see that's like several layers of like deprogramming you have to address.
Right. So here's the beautiful thing about regression. So if, for me, for instance, I wasn't sexually assaulted until my first sexual assault was when I was 15. But in regression, we go back to the first feeling sensory experience that we ever had. Maybe the specific thing I might be working on is like, I'm afraid, you know, let's say somebody's like, I have this fear of success. I get anxious when I think about, you know, abundance or money or being too rich or whatever. You take that feeling, and I'm not going to get into the technical aspect, but we take that sensation of fear and we go back and back and back until we find the initial sensory experience, which was the very first time they had that particular sensation of fear. And that's normally happening between conception and 8 years old. Right?
Totally.
So I do regression as in early life, but I also do informed soul, and then I'm getting into past life now. But so what you're doing is you're seeing these other situations, these other events in their life that created these fears, but you're going back to the initial one. And then we reprogram that we don't, you know, we validate the fears and whatnot, but we show them that they're able to come through, they lived, or they're more powerful. And then that kind of neutralizes that fear through the secondary, third, you know, experiences. So that they have this knowledge, I lived through it. It isn't me, you know, it's something I experienced. And we get to that point. So it's not that you re-experience or experience or that trauma again. It's not part of it. Which is really important, I think, for people to understand that when you do regressive therapy, we're not revisiting that particular trauma.
I was going to ask about that. Actually.
Yeah, and you don't go through it again with the with the same experience. You go through it with a new knowledge, a new connection.
Right. Yeah, I will say my the late Jeffrey Stevens, who was you know, I did his weekend hypnosis training course. He was tough on regressive therapists. And I mean, look, first of all, like, I'm not, again, like, he was doing some very peculiar stuff, including hypnotizing a guy that came to him to become straight.
I don't.
Yeah, so that I'm like, wow, that's controversial, but okay. But yes, he was tough, and you know, he was tough particularly on like Cal Banyan stuff, like the 7 path, because he was like, Cal Banyan, all these regressive hypnotherapists, they are just re-traumatizing people. They're taking them back. They have to cry through it. Like, why should we be making them relive trauma? And I'm like, I think that is a myth you're telling me, or a version of it. And it's against what you just told me without even meaning to ask you. So where do you think, like, commonly people get this conception that like this stuff is coming from. I mean, I think it comes from like Freud in the 80s, just like in primal scream therapy,
So
like people's
much, right? Yeah.
perceptions. But like, where do you think it's primarily coming from? And yeah, for everybody listening that like might be afraid of the idea of regressing and revisiting something in what is publicly perceived as a more vulnerable state, i.e. being hypnotized. Hint, hint, folks, it's not. Like, what would you tell them so that they don't fear this like strange, like I have to relive this experience?
Right. I love this question, and there's so much to unwrap. And yes, I did. I'm 5 and 7 path hypnosis Calbanian. It's not like that at all. I think a lot of these beliefs came from the movie industry, to be honest, like television, movie, like horror films.
Yes.
And the first thing that people need to understand is it's not sleep, and you are not in a vulnerable state. It is a very active state. You are completely aware. You have the ability to come out of hypnosis on your own anytime you choose. So when we're in hypnosis, my sessions are a little longer because they're very in depth, you know, like we go back and reprogram and stuff. So it will be hour and a half, 2 hours. And I've had clients say, I need to go to the restroom. Come out, go to the restroom, get a glass of water, come back, go straight back in. You are aware of everything that is going on, and you have the ability to come out, to vocalize, you know, if you're uncomfortable, anything like that. It's not scary in any way. And everyone that I've ever done hypnosis with have such amazing results after that. They're like, when's my next session, right? Because the method that I use is 5-session packages. And so like in this particular 5-path method is really focused on going back, making sure that slate is clean. So it might take 1 or 2 times for me to do that. Then you go through other processes like forgiving yourself, forgiving others, all that kind of stuff. I also, in my mind, what really super lights me up is informed soul. So I like to take people back to their soul state, their incarnate state, so they can have these downloads for their higher purpose. So
I was going to ask about that. That sounds like very a little cosmic, but I'm very curious what that means.
Right?
Yes.
So here's my whole thing. Yes, I help people heal and rapidly recover from sexual assault and trauma. And that can happen really quickly. Like I want them through that within the first 4 months of my membership, because my true dharma, why I am here, is to help people step into their true and higher purpose, their dharma, their understanding and the message that they came here to share, heal, and help others transform. And a lot of people go, well, oh, is that like, so I have to have, like, I'm going to be a healer, or I have to be a doctor or whatever. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Higher purpose, you could be a podcast interviewer, right? You can be a waitress or a bartender. It doesn't matter. But a lot of people, when you're in a wounded state, when you are in victim, you can't step into your purpose because you don't have the ability to focus on anything outside of your self. Like you're so focused on your external circumstances and the turmoil you're in that you can't see why you came here. So I normally do not do my I don't do my informed soul or my 5-path method on people that haven't already done some established work. Right. So if somebody comes to me, we have an interview process, see where they're standing and all that, because you have to have a certain capacity to be able to step into this work. Because even with other 5-path hypnotists out there, I'm really deep. Like I go, hence the name Cosmic Valkyrie. Like I want to really establish some serious aha stepping into their power, because we all came here to create.
Yes.
And we have that ability. And like I say, you know, I'm in this world, but I am not of it. Like you have the capability to do anything. But a lot of people, what keeps them trapped is their own mind.
Do you take people then that aren't like, I mean, is that part of your active interview process before you take on someone? Because I can imagine someone might just come to you and be like, hey, look, I just need this stuff cleaned up. I know what my career path's going to be, da 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 da. And I'm sure, like, on one level, Lynn, some of those people might not even have the framework to think that they could have this kind of cosmic expanded existence. So I'm sure like you're able to tap into that like a skilled hypnotherapist or hypnotist usually is able to at least like even in an introductory like discovery call open them up to that. So like I'm sure there is that, but I also wonder like would you ever turn someone away that was like, I mean, I don't know, turn them away, but if they were just like, no, I just need like the car repair. I just need the repair. I don't need this higher path stuff. I just need you to like deal with the trauma. Like, because it seems to me that like you could do that, but what's jazzing you up is the expanded potential.
Yes. So what I do in those situations, because I have a great network of other hypnotists that practice the same method with different purposes behind it. So, and I have have a set, you know, like of people that work with more elementary, I don't know the term I want to use, but, you know, like maybe that are just starting this journey so that they can work with them. Or ones that might be like looking for something. I have a girlfriend that does a lot in past life, and she got me all excited about it. But if somebody came to me today and was like, I want to explore past life, even though I'd be capable of doing it right now, it's not aligned with me. So
Yeah.
I would suggest, okay, well, why don't you check her out? And then if you ever want to take this deeper, come on back to me and we can talk about, you know, or this is where a lot of my, so in my membership, this is where I go really deep with helping you dig into that meat so that you can expand.
Yeah.
Because I'm not your typical, like, I'm not like a life coach. I'm not, I am
Right.
like super deep. I'm more like a drill sergeant. I'm not a cheerleader. And I'm like, we need transformation. So the people that come on and work with me, my objective is let's get this going fast and furious. You know,
Wow. I was going to say, I mean, you would have like, it would be like healtraumanow.com if that was that case. Like, you have the Cosmic Valkyrie, which is like, speaks to mythology, speaks to like a little bit of like superhero, a little bit of comic book, and like people that are seeking you out, like, they have to know that they
right?
are going to go through a transformational journey. Uh,
Yeah, and that's really like that name just, oh, and when my husband and I were driving down the road one day and I was like, that's it. Because I I don't really use the term spiritual because it still kind of has that dogmatic attachment to it. I like
yes.
cosmic because we're so much bigger. We are so much bigger. And even cosmic sometimes still seems limiting, but I have this vision of like I train cosmic warriors. Like that's who my team is. That's who my members and my membership are. Like
Yeah.
you go out there and get it. You're not afraid of the meat. Like, you know, I'm going to equip you with every tool that you need and every armor, and then you just bust down the doors. Like I got a message from one of my members. I think she's been in my membership for about 3 months, and she went from complete struggle and attachment around her experiences with sexual assault to she like posted today. She's like, I just manifested $5,700 out of nothing, and I'm like,
Wow.
boom. You know, it's like I tell the members. I do have men in the membership too, but I tell them, you know, you can healing doesn't take time. It just takes intention and a willingness to let go.
Mm. Right. Right. And you know what? I want to like to close loop on the question of, you know, like what is the transformation like for anybody out there that's like, is she gonna make me have to relive this stuff? Like, you're
Oh,
saying that, yeah, because I want to make sure that like people understand, like, it isn't necessary to, you have processes in place so that you're giving like a higher awareness to events that happen without necessarily reliving them.
oh yes, that is really big for me. Here's my thing. I'm going to ruffle some feathers here.
Yeah, let's hear it. I want the controversy.
Talk therapy is archaic and it's on the way out. It's like designed by three-dimensional thinkers, and we're not in the 3 dimension anymore. We're in the 5th dimension. And so therefore telling your story is keeping you in your story. And there are people like us out there that understand that you have to let go of it. So anyone that works for me, we do not go in the story. We do not tell our story. We do not visit that story because it's pointless. The whole objective is to let it did happen to you. It is not you. Let go of it. We're moving on. So nobody that I ever work with do I ever ask, what happened to you?
Wow.
I don't need to know your stories because the past doesn't exist. And that's really where I launch off of. It doesn't exist. It's gone.
Yeah.
The only place, the only part that exists is right now. Even 2 seconds ago, when I told you the past doesn't exist, that doesn't exist anymore.
Totally.
So every moment we have the ability to choose the direction that we want to go. Then this all starts with the choices that we're making. And the first choice that you can make every moment is, I'm not going to tell my story. And that's where I really, like, I just did a podcast on this myself. Like, so many people talk about moving attention, and I talk about that a lot because that's the first place to go is to gratitude. When you're feeling crappy, unloved, like lonely, all those lower vibrating emotions, move your attention to the things that you're grateful for. But what people don't know is that's like the way to get you to a higher vibration.
Yeah.
What you really need to do is when you're at that point where at that higher vibration, start rewriting those stories, not from the past, but who you want to become, and become that person right now.
Wow. You know, I think, yeah, no, that's pretty good. And, you know, it's like, I think about this all the time when it comes to, well, I won't give specific examples of this with risk of getting political, but like, what are people using Facebook for in social media? Like the political landscape, dropping the, here's what this politician did today, this is what this person did. And the more I see that build up of just like anger, it kills me, Lynn. I'm like, oh, but at the same time, I'm also like, and I also know if someone's going to just start posting like positivity quotes all the time too, I'm like, this doesn't feel real either. So in general, I don't think social media actually speaks to the soul. But also like, it seems to be overwhelmingly negative, lower vibration. I mean, how do you, should people just like, I know we met through Facebook, but like, should most people get off Facebook? Like, what is going on with culture and lower vibrational states?
So yeah, I watched a documentary on this the other day, and it was just mind-blowing. And you're not seeing the same stuff I'm seeing, and nobody's seeing the same stuff because it's so specialized.
Is that The Social Dilemma on Netflix?
Yes.
Did you watch that? Yes.
Oh my God.
Crazy film.
And I'm going to be completely transparent here. I can't stand social media, but I also understand that the women and men that I want to help are there.
Right.
So I'm there, and even on my profile, it's 100% public. I still, on my profile, everything that I post is to help people have a new perspective, maybe see things a little differently. Like, it's just out there to help others. That's what I don't have a free Facebook group. I don't do any of that. I just am there to serve. And so that's what I utilize it for. If any of my clients comes to me, the first thing I tell them, if you have physical pain, kill your news feed, because there's this app, Kill Your News Feed, that you can go on. I did it 3 years ago and I have never turned back. I also am very conscious about, like, I can go and I can look at people, like my members, I'll go in and I'll like look and see what they're posting and what other people are posting. But when you kill that news feed, it will not come up on your computer. The first thing, it just comes up to your homepage. Then you can, or, you know, to a blank page, and you can go to your groups or whatever. Because
I'm going to do that, I think.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's great.
That negative information that you are absorbing daily, if you are running on autopilot, adds to that negative thought pattern, that fatigue. And those, we know it has been scientifically proven that when you are in that brain set, it is releasing toxins and hormones into your body. And that creates illness, chronic illness.
Wow.
You know, it just can take over your body. So a lot of people that come to me have digestive issues, have, you know, chronic illnesses, and they're experiencing physical pain. And that's always, whether they do it, I don't know, but that's always my first recommendation. Turn off, kill your news feed.
Yeah.
Because you're so bombarded with negative information. How do you, and how much time you spend on the phone or your Facebook, how are you supposed to change your brain set, reprogram your subconscious, if you're still eating up every day the negative thought patterns and content that is out there? If you truly want transformation, shut it off and start focusing on what's inside you. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, you know, I mean, well, first of all, I just came up with like $1 million hypnotherapy angle that I don't want to tell the world about. Like, I feel like there needs to be social media hypnotists, like people that are like, if you want to cleanse your brain of the dopamine, like targeting negativity that these companies are bringing you, like, call Greg and have a 3-day package where I will reset your brain to pre-social media abundance.
Right? Or can you do it? Think about this. You want to, because, you know, I hear about these children. I don't have children, but I hear about these children that get so angry when their parents take the phone away from them. Now, the peak age for hypnosis is 14 to 21. Think about just like non-smoke, like, I don't want to smoke anymore. What if you could take those children, because that generation is paying for all this.
Yeah.
The suicide rates among 10 to 14-year-olds is like,
yeah, it's awful.
It's just horrifying. But what if you could do hypnosis for those parents, if their children are willing, to program them so they don't spend time on their phone anymore?
Wow, that is,
right?
I think that's huge. I think that's
gigantic. Huge. I'll support you in it.
Maybe we shouldn't release this episode. Someone's going to steal this. Do not steal it. This is Greg Bornstein, copyright Open Loops. I don't know.
I think there's probably enough that there's enough clients for that to go around.
I know. That's the thing in general. Like, this work is like, you can never have too many, because we've got so many. Mental health is yeah, everybody needs sessions with someone somewhere. Even talk therapy, but you don't need talk therapy.
There is a place, and I don't want anyone to think that I am replacing mental or physical professionals. If you have a diagnosed illness, you must seek professional help, and don't go off medication or anything like that. And there is a place for talk therapy, and it's really like, it got me to a place where I was able to deal with the trauma that I had experienced, but it never took me deeper. It never, like, I would always leave feeling, this is it. Like, I thought I was supposed to feel good. I thought I was supposed to be happy.
Yes.
And the deeper healing comes after. And this is the thing. You are working at the capacity of your capabilities. Everyone is. So this means you don't know what you don't know. You can't heal and have total awakening and awareness from where you're at. You need somebody to lead you.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
So most of these people have been told therapy is the only answer. That's what I was told forever. But the fact is, if you think that way, it's keeping you in your struggles.
Yeah.
And therapy isn't the only answer. And that's where I really want people to understand there's so many options. And I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Definitely not. But if you're still struggling, get out there and start looking. And if you're cosmic, you know, ask for some guidance, ask for somebody to put somebody in front of you. And like, if you're listening to this, maybe I'm not somebody, or maybe this podcast is that somebody. Like, you spread great fun. I've been listening since we talked. I've been binge listening.
Oh my gosh,
know?
thank you.
Yeah, it's so much fun. But yeah, it's all about, you know, you can't do this alone. I couldn't do it alone. And I'm going to have a mentor for the rest of my life. As long as I'm on this planet, I want to be expanding as much as possible.
Wow.
Right? So I have one, and I always will. Because once you start this journey, you never want to stop.
Yeah. And I was going to ask about like some of the, you know, on your website, you talk about how you're combining ancient healing, fitness, nutrition, and subconscious reprogramming. How does that all fit together?
Right? So a lot of people are like, fitness and nutrition, what? So
Yeah.
here's the thing. People that have experienced sexual trauma have unplugged from their body. They don't have self-worth. They don't have a love for their body. They shame it. They hate it. And so coming back into it is a really vital aspect of this healing process, and understanding how precious this one body in this one life we have. Like, this is it. So ultimate goal, 100% self-acceptance. That means loving and trusting your body again. So I'll bring you back into your beautiful, awesome, strong warrior body, but then we learn how to move it again, how to take care of it again, knowing that when we hydrate it, it's out of love and respect for our body. When we love and respect it on those levels, then it performs well for us. So that's why I have fitness and nutrition in there, right? Subconscious reprogramming, got that. Ancient healing and wisdom. So
that's the one I want to know more about.
Right? So we dive into crystals, astrology, numerology, herbalism. My husband's a chef. He's a holistic chef, and he knows a lot about herbs and all that kind of stuff. So he partners with me in there too. He also works with a sorcerer. Like, you hear the word shaman thrown around a lot, but this man is truly, deeply a cosmic sorcerer.
Wait, you got to go into that. What does that mean?
Oh my God.
What is a sorcerer?
So he's like a true shaman. Like, he heals. He's on this earth to help with the magnetic pole switch. But I like to say in jest, we always joke, but his sidekick is helping others. So my husband, our personal mentor, which is DX's brother-in-law, Brian, was introduced to him, my husband, because my husband was experiencing grand mal seizures with epilepsy, and they were quite bad. So he started working with DX, and he's been free of seizures for, I think, over a year now. It's fantastic. But so he works energetically with him through dream time.
What? Oh my gosh, this is the interview I've been waiting for. I love
Why don't we schedule another interview about this?
Dream time? What? Yeah. Wait a minute. What in the world? Is he in your husband? Is this like happy Freddy Krueger stuff? Is this what we're talking about? Like, is he in his dreams? Or is this
Yeah, it's very deep.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about
energetic. So he we have this, it's called candle work, where you set up these, he gives you a certain configuration, certain colors, certain herbs and water, and then you configure that in a safe place in your home.
Right.
That allows him to come in energetically and cleanse and do whatnot. And then at night, he lays with a bowl of herbs and stuff underneath of water underneath his bed to help facilitate him coming into the dream time. And it starts out, he's been doing this with him for quite some time. So it's very, at first it seemed like very literal, like he was coming in because he's expanding, right? Like he's breaking Brian's wide open as far as his cosmic abilities and whatnot. So at first it's like baby steps where, yes, he was in it. He was like helping guide and like channel, you know, like, no, you got to go, you got to do this. We're going to do this, whatever. Yeah. But then it turns into more, we stopped talking about it probably about 6 months ago, because it leaves the 3-dimensional reality in which we perceive life around us, right? So now his dream state is much different. The one thing that I really like to dive into in helping others and the membership and all this is dream time, because it is such a huge tool in our existence here.
Yeah.
That we need to tap it. Like if you're not tapping into your dream time and downloading, at first I start, since this is super deep, I like to do this. So at first I say, you know, it's your subconscious. You're getting messages from your subconscious, right?
Yeah,
People
of course.
Want to dip their toe in. But for people that are deeper thinkers, I'm like, no, it is your second. Like I say, we are in this world. We are not of it. This is just my physical body. I am so much more than this. And sure, my subconscious is like my reptilian brain, but I am a cosmic being. And when you're in dream time, it is your cosmic self working to help you facilitate the things that you desire and that you want to have here in life.
Yeah.
And being able to tap into those messages, just like we look to spirit animals, angel cards, whatever it is that you're utilizing here, your dream time is way more powerful.
Hey, remember at the beginning of this interview when you said you were into brain science?
Yeah.
This is totally now look, I'm very interested in this dream time, because like when you're telling me that you guys were having conversations about it 6 months ago, like just to get, and you don't have to go into the specifics, but just so I have something tangible here, does that mean like he would turn to you and be like, hey Lynn, you know, tonight this is what this dream experience was for me, and I can definitely see that this is where you know, this sorcerer was interfering? Like, were these the conversations you were having? Like, how did he know?
So yeah, when it first started, because we had known about DX, but it wasn't until one day when I told my husband, hey, you need to bring this to our mentor, so because he'll be able to help. And he was like, you got to get on a call. This is something that's way above my pay grade, and it's something you're experiencing.
Yeah.
Physical, like it can kill you. But so we're like, oh, okay, we're gonna do it. We were all excited, and so he prepared and all this. There's preparations and a consultation call and all this, and it took some preparation. And it's not just like, there's so much more than just the dream time that he does. And eventually, he's just around us all the time. Because I'm part of this, he's here with me too, right? But so in the first, you know, like the first couple months, we'd wake up and I'd be like, ooh, what was it about last night? Like, what was the dream about? How did he show up and whatever?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like, yeah, I can tell he was this man and he was doing this, and he would kind of guide him, like say stuff like, what is that over there? And then Brian in his dream would turn and explore, you know, so it was a very literal thing.
Yeah.
And he was there, and then it progressed. Sometimes he would come with these spiritual helpers in there, and it was very easy. Like he'd be like, and then this would happen or this. So it's very like three, like I always say, like this 3-dimensional life that we think is real, which is all energy, right? So it was very picturesque. But then it quickly began to shift. My husband, he's incredibly expansive, and I was aware of this, although he wasn't, and that was one of the reasons why he's being held back. He came here huge, like he's a huge being that came here, but was keeping himself small. So his expansion during this has been so rapid. It's been amazing. And then about 3 months ago, I took him through the 5-path method. And of course, when I regressed him, he was like, I'm going to go back to conception.
Wow.
I mean, that wasn't his choice. He was just like, this is when I first experienced discomfort. And I was like,
yeah.
I love when that happens, because that happens often. But I'm like, boom, he knew exactly. He was like, this is where it is, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's very like not, he's, the shaman isn't like forcing him in directions. He's there as a guide at the beginning.
Interesting. Do you like, I mean, you know, as someone that, you know, I deal with the tension of skepticism and belief on this show all the time. So here's my question. Like, could you call this sorcerer, be like, hey man, last night, that was a great experience. You guided me, you pointed me to places, and this guy's like, yeah, you like that? like could he just sort of be like, yeah, that was me for any experience? Or has he ever been like, has your husband checked in ever? I don't know if those are the terms of this relationship.
No need to.
Okay.
It's evident. Yeah. So after the consultation, it's just known, like he's, and the groovy thing is that I feel him. Like I feel him in our, he's incredibly expansive. Like he is a being that came here for huge purposes, right? His energetic transformations and healing that he's done, like he's helped people heal from cancer, right?
Wow.
Like stage 4 cancer or whatever. But you don't, like him and Brian, we're connected now. There's no reason to get on the phone or call, or it's.
Would he ever do a podcast? I know he's kind of technically doing the podcast.
No.
You want to do it? What?
No.
Why can't we get the sorcerer on? That's all I dream of.
Right? But there's
wait, is he a human?
higher purpose.
Is he a human being?
Yes. But
oh, what do you
yeah.
mean? ...
I have never, like, we've never met him in person, ever. But here's the way I perceive him, right? Because everything is interpretation and perception. Everything.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is an interpretation. So this is how I interpret him. A shape-shifting cosmic being that isn't here with us all the time.
What?
He might be embodying a human form, but he's not necessarily always in it. What? And he can be in more places. He can be in all places at once. And that's not just here on this planet Earth.
What does this man have look, I don't want you to.
And he's not the only one on the Earth that is like this.
Does he have a website? Facebook, Instagram?
No, these people don't have those, right? But think about this. Jesus existed.
Yeah.
Jesus most likely had these same types of powers, but were perceived different because of the dimension in which people were living at the time.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. No, I've definitely thought about Jesus as this kind of classical magician. Like there is that sort of belief out there, especially in the New Age community, or the spiritual community, cosmic community, about like Jesus being a shaman, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
than just like a rabbi or yeah, I mean, a prophetic figure, obviously. So wait a minute. And Lynn, I know this is like this is definitely an offshoot of the work you do, but you still deal with Dreamtime, so that
Yeah.
it's related. Out of curiosity, like if this sorcerer doesn't have a website, for the casual listener tuning into this, like how would they get in contact with the sorcerer?
It happens in divine timing.
So this was like you weren't seeking this out deliberately. It just kind of
Yeah.
what? Is there is
I
there
know, right? But it's not and you know, there's a lot of this that is way above my pay grade that I can't explain. I can only tell you my own interpretation of stuff, right?
yeah.
But
Does it happen at a coffee shop?
no, I don't think that people, I think, you know, somebody with my mentor, I think found a shaman through, you have to probably be, I don't know, like, I don't know what level of enlightenment you have to be at. Maybe just be open to one coming in and then it will. There have been books written about, like there was a series of books written about this particular sorcerer's own, like he was an apprentice to one too,
I
right?
was going to say, this reminds me of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, Dan Millman. This reminds me of, I mean, obviously, and there's disputes about how accurate the Carlos Castaneda books are.
Okay, so those are really hated, but those books were based on DX's
Wow.
yeah.
Mentor, based on
Yeah,
his
his
mentor.
mentor, yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, no, the books are, the scholarship is debated. The truth of you know, Carlos's their experiences is like disputed, and there's a whole
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
controversy about that.
yeah.
But I do believe there was a Don Juan character he met.
And that was DX's mentor.
What? Oh my gosh, this is so fascinating that you're like connected to this stuff.
Everyone is connected though,
I've been
right? We're
yes.
all connected. We all have the capability to connect to this. It's just, are you willing to let go of your attachment to what you believe to be true?
Mm,
Because what so many people are walking around in is, I see this, therefore that is truth.
right.
Where there is, just because you see something doesn't mean that it's your own interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And your own
Wow.
capabilities, right? So this really, like I was recently 3 weeks ago in an extremely serious car accident.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I got out, whatever, but you know, the doctor's like, oh, weeks, this, blah, 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 you're gonna have crutches, it's gonna be like the worst case scenario, right? And I got home from the hospital and I was like, watch this. The body has an amazing ability to heal. And when you are in the proper brain set, when you are working from higher awareness and happiness and know that joy comes from the inside, you're not releasing shit into your body. Beep that out. And
Right, right.
your body has this amazing ability to heal very rapidly. So what they were telling me was going to take months, I had conquered in a matter of a week. It's because you align and know that you have the power to do anything,
Right.
and create anything, right? If you allow other people to dictate your beliefs and your circumstances, then this whole conversation that we've had probably is going way over your head.
Mm. Whoa. Do I feel personally attacked? I don't know.
Boom. No, but what I'm saying is, like, you have
Yes.
to crack it open somehow. So I cracked open the lid, right? So now you're going
Yes.
to be like, oh, what more? Like, what more is there?
No, I definitely was like, oh, I'm talking to this like kind of like, experimental hypnotist lady today. And then like it went so like DX. I'm like gonna be Googling DX and I won't
Yeah, good
find
luck with
anything.
that.
Yeah, what the heck? Like, who is this sorcerer? There's sorcerers among us. Like, what?
There
Um,
are. One woman in our group asked, so is there somebody that I can find? Like, does DX know somebody in the UK or whatever? And our mentor was like, yeah, he'll just look it up on sorcerer.com. He's like, no. And the whole
wow.
concept here is like, why do you need to find one close to you? Because they're energetic beings. One could be living in India and help you the same way that one could be living in, Iceland, whatever. Like, it's all energetic. It's there's no time and space, right? It's just, we're all energy.
How can you tell the difference between like a shaman and slash sorcerer that like has good intentions versus someone that is just like a charlatan?
That's a deeper conversation. And it's
Have you been there before?
above my pay grade. But I do
Really?
know they exist. There are people that are not, they're not good. They're like, we were talking about, have you ever seen the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow?
I've never actually seen it, but I know about
Watch it,
it's
because
like the
that is
real life zombie story, the guy from MIT that like
it's real. It's real stuff. So, and people play around with that stuff, and it's not good, right?
I was gonna say you're in upstate New York, right?
I am. I'm
I was gonna
originally from Athens, Georgia, but I'm in New York
right.
now.
I was gonna say, what do you think it is about upstate? Because in light of The Vow, that HBO series about the Nixium cult, um I just feel like I've talked to people who are upstate New York. There is some like spiritual stuff going on, and especially now that I know that, like, I mean, look, the Nixium cult obviously was a sex ring that was not really based in like full integrity spirituality at all, but there is sort of like a draw about upstate in general that has this kind of like spiritual, like does the sort I bet the sorcerer has a lot going on with the grid up there.
I wonder. Well, I didn't really know much about where I live in the Finger Lakes. Um, and I wasn't really tapped in when we moved here, like to what was happening here or what was going on.
Yeah.
But I do know that right close to the town that we live is a ley line.
Mm.
So that's an energetic point, right? And I don't know about this documentary or this cult you're talking about.
You know
So
Nixium? Oh gosh, Nixium. It was kind of like a Tony Robbins-esque pyramid kind of scheme, but the idea being that this guy, I think his name was like Keith Rainier, um, was this like guru that everybody wanted to take classes with, and he created this thing called ESP. I forget what it stands for, but using ESP as like the acronym. And there were classes teaching people kind of like landmark forum, kind of Tony Robbins-esque stuff, but as you got higher in the cult, the women who were close to him, specifically Allison Mack, who was on Battlestar Galactica and some other shows, she was serving as like a chief recruiter to bring women into this women's empowerment inner circle that involved trading secrets, collateral, branding, like putting like a cast iron with Allison Mack / Keith's initials into the girls, and they would be essentially be like sex slaves.
oh,
Like that was like the
like Jeffrey
darkness.
Epstein.
Yeah,
I'm
yes, with a spiritual bent.
right.
With a like, and it was upstate. There were retreats up there. It looked like it was like a adult summer camp, essentially, with a spiritual thing. But the guy at the top was just like underground, bringing in attractive women to like have sex with them and have this dominant relationship. It was like really.
Was it over by Albany? In the
Oh,
Adirondacks, maybe.
it may have been. Yeah, yeah.
'Cause
Nick's
that's
there
like
was.
about 2-3 hours from here, but that I would imagine because that's a very vast area to be able to get away with that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was the Vow, which is I don't know how many parts it is. At least I've watched the first 4 on HBO. Really goes into the story. But I know there's some podcasts about it. It was big, especially because there was like a celebrity component to it too.
Right.
Like there were like people from Hollywood that were talking about these teachings, and yeah, it's
Oh,
very dark, but it made me be like, what is going on upstate with all this stuff happening? Like, I don't know. Oh, I also New York is huge. New Jersey, I feel like there's a lot of like cosmic kind of conversations happening, like paranormal conventions and whatnot. So I think the tri-state in general just has a variety of experiences for people that want to seek them. But I was curious how
I would.
this
I
fit in.
haven't, COVID going, so I haven't really connected a lot. But I think we gravitate towards each other. I want to see some UFOs. I've heard people up here believe in them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, it sounds like the sorcerer might be an alien, or at
Yeah.
least from a
Well,
different galaxy.
people ask me, like, do you believe in aliens? And I'm like, we all are aliens. We came here from somewhere. We're here in this one body and then we leave somewhere. Like, nobody is a native on Earth,
Oh my gosh. No, that's interesting. Oh my
right?
gosh. So your work is, I mean, do you feel like you get to that level with people? Like, do people walk away becoming a cosmic warrior? Do they actually like when they're done going through your mentorship program, going through
There
or
is
your
no done.
sorry?
There is no done.
So okay. So if people, I mean, do people walk away and they're like, okay, now I feel in touch with the universe. I am a cosmic being. Like, do you have that level of like engagement with people?
If that's where they want to go. And
Mm,
then here's the thing too, like, I can't be everything to everyone. So sometimes they might move into a different direction with a different mentor to tap into different things, right?
right, right,
So, like, as long as, like, my membership goes on, as long as you desire to be part of it, it builds upon each other every month, right? And then I have deeper masterminds for people that really like. So my membership is really healing, a lot of combining those aspects, but then the bigger um, mastermind where I have a handful, 2 handfuls maybe, of people that really want to go there with me, that want
mm,
to expand to that level. So sometimes they might be with the membership for 6 months or a year and be like, I'm ready, let's do this. Sometimes they're like, oh, forget that, I want to go deep right now. Like, this is what I'm looking for, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm already able to create, I want to go way deeper.
wow, wow. Yeah, when one of the ways that you piqued my interest in this interview, anyways, at the beginning, you were like, Greg, I do hypnosis very differently. Can you speak to that a little bit? Like what is, what does that even mean in your mind?
um
Without giving away the trade secrets, but at the same time, like I do want to kind of know, like what is going to be the difference between seeing you for a session versus really seeing anybody else that might practice like 5 path, 7 path, or any form of
right.
hypnotherapy.
So 7th path is self-hypnosis, by the way. So
Oh, okay. Right,
so
right,
that's
right.
one thing that you're introduced to in a 5-path session. If it aligns with you, then you can learn how to do self-hypnosis on your own, which is 7th path. And that goes quite
Right.
deep. So here's the deal with, not all hypnotists are created equal. And personally, I would never say, yeah, just go out there and find a hypnotist, especially when it comes to regression, because this is so different than anything else out there. So, for referrals or anything, I'm always open to helping people find them, whatever. And it's definitely not something that you have to do in person. And I personally really like working remotely with people, so that's automatically different. But
Yeah.
because I like the idea that they're in the comfort of their own home. They can pick their own crystals, their own, chair, whatever, that they're there safe and secure and feel, like just really comfortable.
A lot of people have asked, can you hypnotize somebody as effectively on Zoom via in person?
Oh,
A lot of
yes.
people have asked me that recently.
Yes, definitely. But you have to have a good hypnotist to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
The other component that is very different for me is I'm straightforward and transparent, that I work with people that understand they have a soul, that they did come from somewhere, that they are cosmic, that this is like one part of them, but not all of them. They're who they are right here in this form. So a lot of hypnotists might not address that issue, but in order for me to be really effective, you have to align with those beliefs. And then I dive deep. Like, I'm not afraid to explore, outside of this reality, what you've created in this life, in this world, to understand how you can show up more in your own experience here.
So it's not even just past lives, it's like parallel lives and multiverse kind of stuff.
Yeah. And my whole belief around past life regression is not that you are exploring your past life, because we are all one. You are exploring a life from the past that is relevant to your experience here right now.
Oh, that's unique. Yeah. Okay.
Right? So it doesn't, like, I know Abraham Hicks and stuff says, past life, like, we don't want you focusing on the past anyway, so don't focus on it ever. And my thing is that we are all one. We all come from source, divine, whatever you want to call it, God, I don't care what you call it. And so therefore, when we tap into it through hypnosis, that gives us an ability to download the messages from other lives and other dimensions that are relevant to us today. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a air quote past life. It could be an experience in a different dimension that's happening simultaneous that you need to learn from and take from and understand here.
Wow.
So I can do age regression. And I think there's I think in this whole process, that's the first step. But for me, it's not the last step. Like, I want to go deeper. I want you to completely understand. So when we talk about the women and men that are working with me on a deeper level, this is part of that program. Understanding and taking them to these places where they then go, oh yeah, I'm cosmic. Wow. I am more. I get it because I've connected to it, right? So that's where this deeper hypnosis comes into play in those sessions and with those group of people that already know, they come in going, let's go there. Let's go deep. Let's do this, right?
Yeah. And when people wake up from the formal sleep or the trance or whatever it is that you're bringing people in, do you typically, you must work in trance. I mean, you must bring people into do you ever not though? Do you ever have like eyes open? Like, I mean, I can't imagine you. I mean, some people could, but usually it helps to have the eyes closed.
Yeah, they have their eyes closed, and everyone has a different experience.
Okay.
Right? So it depends on your journey and how you process information. And some have, guides that come in. Some have the ability to talk directly. It all depends on, where they are in the process and how deep they need to go. Because once again, it's all about divine timing. You need to be ready to hear the message. So it's what message you need to hear in that moment.
Yeah. If I came to you and I was like, hey, Lynn, I want these divine guides to speak to me. Like, I'm not sure they're there, but I want you to point me to them. Like, could you even work with that?
I could. Because I think that there is a willingness to know and the ability to look past your own beliefs once, but there would have to be a progression. And I think that's really what the 5 path for me brings in. It brings in the knowledge that, yes, I am more and I come from more in this physical body. So cleaning that slate, like rebooting that belief, and then allows me to go deeper. So I wouldn't take anyone into the deeper hypnotic journeys before 5 path. And for me personally, I don't always take on that role of the 5 path hypnotist. It depends on the person's personality. That is when I really refer people. Like I'll be like, okay, I'll refer you to so-and-so, or I check one of these 3 hypnosis hypnotists out to see which one resonates with you more. There are some that are super deep that I can do and I take on that journey, but I really like going deeper.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm good at. That's what I'm on this earth to do. I'm here to, really tap in.
Yeah. Yeah. And when people wake up, do they have access, you believe, now to things that they didn't before?
Yes. So they'll wake up, and of course I have notes, and there's a whole process to this, so that when they come forth, they are continually reminded outside of hypnosis about these messages that they got. And then I also have been taking notes so that I can, when I check in, I can remind them. Sometimes I'll do a little Voxer or a voicemail for them that they can keep and record so that they can hear them, right? Because my voice activates these messages for them on a deeper level. Right? But they also hear the voices that, they bring this message back. And so when they come out of it, you're still in a hypnotic state, a highly suggestible state, as we like to call it, for, 30, 40 minutes. So we will sit there and communicate even while they're in that suggestible state about their power. I will have them repeat things to me to really get it solidified. I will go through, the messages that they downloaded. And then after I let them go back, then they have these really solidified messages. And I'll get, DMs and stuff from my clients that go, oh my God, I have seen this change with my relationship with my mother because now I perceive her differently because of the way I downloaded Informed Soul, because we can find, people that we made contracts with to come here, what we're supposed to learn from them. So, I was having challenges with my mother, but I realized, in our Informed Soul, it was to learn patience.
Yeah.
So I'm much more patient with my mother, and the messages that I'm getting from her are so much more valuable to me.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, look, this is like really, this is great stuff. I'm like, the escapist in my brain is going like, could I work with Lynn, have her hypnotize me, and then actually be able to see angels in waking reality? Like that's like the mission I want. Now that said, like, yeah, you could do that, like just visual hallucination stuff, but like that'd be kind of freaky. I mean, I don't know. Does it ever has any
yourself the deeper question, why do I want to see angels?
Right.
What is that doing for me? What would that validate for me?
Oh, that's a good question. Who?
And how can you validate that now without the
now that's good. That's good. That's a great question.
I am good at this.
Yes, you are, Lynn. Lynn Louise, the CosmicValkyrie.com, as well as you have a podcast where you talk about all this stuff. It looks like it's available on all the major platforms. I mean, we'll definitely we'll put the links for those, the Cosmic Valkyrie podcast. Where else could people, like keep following up and even having like what is that the best introduction to your work or?
So I will say that my podcast is geared towards the first steps. So
Yeah.
it just started. I think I'm on episode 23, but I downloaded not long ago that in order to help people help transform more lives, that I needed to start a membership. So I started the podcast so that I could reach more lives and help more
Right.
people. And then I'm gathering and going to launch the membership. I got my founding members, and now I'm going to launch it probably in January. I'll open the doors up January, February, but I have a wait list for that. So you can find that on thecosmicvalkyrie.com. But my podcast is really geared towards the first steps to bringing awareness into your life. As I go, I'll build on it and get more cosmic-y, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking on my podcast about this stuff.
Yes.
But you
Score
have that,
exclusive.
right? Your platform allows me to really open up and talk about this stuff. Now, in my membership and with my clients, I talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't want to come straight out of the gate on my podcast and scare the hell out of people.
Right.
Like, what the hell is she talking about? Like, oh my God. But my members know about my husband and I working with the shaman. They know about our mentorships. We have a completely, our lifestyle is very geared around all those 4 pillars that we mentioned earlier: ancient healing and wisdom. Everything that I coach is a huge part of the healing process, and up-leveling that as you go and using these things in a stronger way.
Yeah, I really want to hang out with you and your husband, honestly. It sounds like the
Yeah.
food's pretty good. Like
when he's home cooking, he's a chef, right? So
yeah, I'm like, what's going on up there? I'm coming upstate to hang with
yeah,
you
you
guys.
should get him on we should have him on an interview. His perspective is, of course, much different than mine, his interpretation of things, and he's really into the ancient healing and wisdom.
Yeah, we got to get him on. That would be awesome.
Yeah, he studied the classics, and he's taken a lot of that, brought that forward, but also like the deeper meaning of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love that.
He's
Love
super
that.
fun. He's very quiet, but he has a lot to say.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And you clearly, I mean, look, you definitely have a lot of profound things to say about all this stuff. I mean, I highly recommend as a, if you want that other perspective, the beginner steps, I suppose, to getting to sorcery and dream states, check out the Cosmic Valkyrie, Healing the Power of Your Mind from Lynn Louise. On Apple and Stitcher, Spotify. Again, we'll link to it. All that stuff. And your website. I mean, I'm excited for this mentorship launching, or this membership service you're doing in January. I definitely think you're doing some very fascinating work. It's very riveting to me.
I market, obviously, to sexual assault and trauma, but really this work is for anyone that wants to heal and expand. So I encourage, there's if you get on the wait list, then you get, when the new podcast comes out, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and everything you're doing, all that stuff. Totally.
Awesome.
Lynn, thank you so much for coming on Open Loops today. You definitely expanded my mind. I love it. I appreciate you going into some of the more out there stuff. Like, very grateful for that.
Yeah, I got a lot of it. We'll have to do it again.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. Take care. We'll definitely have you and or your husband on again soon. And everybody check out the Cosmic Valkyrie. Perfect. This was different, right? It was like if Quincy Jones produced Michael Jackson's Thriller, this DX co-produced this episode. D, thank you. Also, are you the one that's like haunting my dreams recently? My gosh, how many daddy issues do I need to go through in my subconscious mind at night? Hey, look, thank you for co-producing this. Also, Thank you, Lynn Louise Larson. I definitely need to have your husband on the show still. I love that there's such a magical family in upstate New York, of all places. She's clearly doing some really interesting work. Check out the Cosmic Valkyrie as well as her podcast. And hey, we're going to be back with a lot more magical things coming up soon. Have a good weekend, everybody.